What is the best horror movie of each genre? What's the best vampire movie? What's the best werewolf, mummy, zombie? What's the best Frankenstein movie? What's the best hostile alien invader? I'm going to try to get to the bottom of that. Now, this is, I mean, of course it's opinionated, but I'm going to try to really take as objective as possible and try to think to myself, what exactly isn't really my favorite, but what do I think is really the best? And, of course, the best that I think tends to be my favorite usually, but I'm going to try to be as fair as I can. So, the best vampire movie. Well, I think it's got to be a Dracula film. It's got to be. I can't really think of any other vampire movie off the top of my head. And then, see, that's another thing. I'm not really thinking too hard because I don't want to think too hard. I want it to just come. Like, what is it? Okay, give you a really honest answer. Well, I would think it's probably got to be, would it be the Bela Lugosi Dracula? Maybe. It's a flawed film for sure, but it's so classic. Then would it be one of the Hammer Draculas? Some would say Horror of Dracula, the one with Christopher Lee, is better than the Lugosi version. In some ways, I think that's true, but it's not all the way. It doesn't have Renfield in it. How could you pick a Dracula film that doesn't have Renfield? Would I pick one of the Dracula sequels? Because I kind of like the first three the same. I like Dracula Prince of Darkness, and I like Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. In some ways, I like Dracula Has Risen from the Grave better than the rest, but who's going to take me serious if I say Dracula Has Risen from the Grave is the best Dracula film ever made and the best vampire film? I don't know. I really don't think there is a simple answer. Like, they all seem to have good elements in them. But I'm going to say the Bela Lugosi Dracula. But wait, the Spanish version is better than the English version. Yes, they filmed it simultaneous. At night, they would have a whole different cast come in, a whole Spanish-speaking cast, and they would film it with the same script, same sets, everything. And that version, it's better than the more famous English version. So I'm going to say the Spanish Dracula from 1931 is the best Dracula movie ever made. Best Frankenstein movie. Now, this is a tough one because it's easy to say the first one. But, okay. First one is kind of the most memorable. It's the most classic. Has all the most famous scenes in it. Bride of Frankenstein, many ways superior to the first one. And then Son of Frankenstein. Son of Frankenstein is like the first one where it's completely run out of Mary Shelley's source material. It's its own thing. It ignores the first two movies. And it isn't even really about the monster as much as it's about the son of Frankenstein and Igor. And Igor's such a great villain. And that movie, it's so well made that I find myself coming back to that one the most. I seem to, like right now, if I want to put on a Frankenstein movie, which one do I want to watch? I'd like to watch Son of Frankenstein right now. I think that's the best one. So, yeah. Hard to say, but Son of Frankenstein, I think, is the best Frankenstein movie. And we have the werewolf movie. So, is it the Wolfman? It's hard to say because the Wolfman, it's not the perfect werewolf movie that you think of in your head. Like, it doesn't have a shot of the full moon. There isn't a really good transformation sequence in that one. It's missing some of the famous things you would hope for in a werewolf movie. But it just works. It works better than the other ones. It has a lot to do with Lon Chaney Jr. because he's so likable. I think there's other werewolf movies I would like to pick. An American Werewolf in London. I love that movie, but it's kind of a comedy. I see it as an alternate werewolf movie. There's many other ones. Of course, there's The Howling. There's Wolf with Jack Nicholson, but I can't really think of anything that ever truly tops The Wolfman. I think that is just the perfect example of a werewolf movie with the right character, the right story, just done well. The Wolfman. Best mummy movie. It's pretty easy to say the Boris Karloff one, but I think I'm gonna go Hammer this time. I think the Hammer version of the Mummy kind of took the best pieces of all the Universal Mummy movies. Yeah, I think it's done really well. Yeah, I think the Hammer Mummy is the one that I would usually go back to. That's the one I enjoy watching the most often. Best zombie movie. This is a tough one because there's a lot of zombie movies. Is it Night of the Living Dead? I mean, that's the one that every single zombie movie nowadays is ripping off. Without Night of the Living Dead, you wouldn't have any of them. Is it still the best one? It's up there for sure. But you know, Dawn of the Dead is in many ways better than Night of the Living Dead. Day of the Dead, I also see. It's like Frankenstein syndrome. You could pick any of them, really. Day of the Dead, I've gone through phases where I've felt like that's the best one. It's definitely like maybe the darkest of all them. The effects are certainly the best in Day of the Dead. But wait a minute, you know, let's go away from Romero zombies for a bit. I think Return of the Living Dead is a fresh, original concept because that's where the zombies can't die, even if you shoot them in the brain. That's where like the body parts all start crawling around. And it's funny how most people always remember the Romero ones. It seems most movies do the thing where they get shot in the head and they die. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead, it's so unique. I think I would almost pick that one, but I feel like I'm going to lean towards the Romero ones because I think that's really the classic example. And I think what works best is, I think Day of the Dead. No, let me take it back. I think Dawn of the Dead. I don't know. I think Dawn of the Dead's the best one because you have 4 characters to follow the whole movie, and you really you latch on to these characters, and they pick a shopping mall. They do all the smart things. If you're going to hide out, you know, if there's a bunch of zombies, that mall is really the best choice. And you'd think, you know, what could go wrong? They block out the zombies. They live in this mall. They're fine, but it takes them a long time before they settle into this mall. They have to, you know, they have to go around and they have to, you know, lock all the doors and everything. And finally, when they settle in, these characters actually do get rewarded. There is like a false ending where they're just hanging out in the mall and they're just living their lives in there until the motorcycle gang shows up, because you think, you know, if people are hiding in this mall, aren't there going to be other people that want to hide in the same mall? Yeah, it's just done really well. The effects aren't as good as later zombie films, but I think this one kind of has the best of everything. So I'm going to go Dawn of the Dead, best zombie film. Okay, one last genre, the hostile alien invader. So there's a lot of these. Is it going to be an alien that comes to us, or is it going to be we go to an alien planet? I don't know. That there's many different ways this can go. I think maybe The Thing from Another World. But you take moments of movies like that, and say it wasn't an alien. Say it's the same exact movie. It's The Thing, but the alien isn't an alien. It was like a creature that grew out of some science lab that was here. So if you just took the space thing out of it, it isn't really that much of an alien movie. Now, and I think alien movie, what better than Alien? Because in Alien, they are in a ship the whole movie. They're completely surrounded with this outer space environment. So there's nowhere to go. Like the tagline says, in space no one can hear you scream. So that makes it scary itself. And the alien in the movie is probably one of the best looking aliens that's ever been on film. So I'm going to say Alien because it has the right setting. It is a horror movie. It's a haunted house movie just set in outer space. So yeah, if we're going with the horror angle, it is the best Alien movie in my eyes. So there you go. Yeah, that's what I think.